Professionally, I've been a tester for about 10 years and an agile coach. And personally, well, I'm from the Netherlands and I love to brew beer, drink beer, and play games. My topic is about getting to know your customer. As a tester, I think it's really important because eventually that software will go to a user, right? So do you know that user? I'm going to help people know their user in my presentation. Thank you for that. Already applause and you don't know what I'll be doing. First of all, this is awesome to be in a cinema presenting. So I'm gonna take the opportunity to make a picture with you, a photo with you. I hope we can see it. I'm not sure about that. Yeah. Everybody smile. You won't see it, but thanks. Yeah, a cinema. I wish they told me before. This big screen, and my presentation will be on a flip chart. Woo! So in the back, I hope you can see. No, I'm just joking. I'll have slides. Just was too funny to do it in this way. They have this flip chart here, and I was thinking, wow, who's going to use that? You'll not see it when you're in the back. Ta-da! There are slides. Awesome. Well, I've already introduced myself, so I'll just go over that bit. This is the proof of what I was saying. I also like to combine this stuff. So I play games at conferences and at work. I do that quite a lot. I think it's very important to learn testing by gaming, and it's fun, so why not? After this session, during the lunch, come find me. I have games with me, even games that are about testing. And another thing I'd like to combine is brewing beer at work or at conferences. You see me here at the Agile Testing Days, where we brewed beer, me and somebody else, which was awesome. That's the queue back there for the beer. Crazy that that happened. So what are we here for? Well, I also told you that, but let's put it on a slide. Testers know your customers. I guess all of you are working in the software business, and in the end, somebody will use your software, right? Is there anybody who makes software that is not used by humans? Like AI stuff, robotics? No, right? You're laughing, so I'm probably right about that. So what I've learned is that it's really important to know your customer in order to improve your testing, but also to improve your product. So by the end of this presentation, I will have you I've given you 8 practices that you can practice tomorrow already. Most of them are easy to set up. It's just you that needs to do it. Some of them you probably need some budget or some people to work with. So let me ask you a question first. Who of you has interactions with their end user? And what I mean by that is that the person who's actually using your software, have you interacted with them in one or another way? Okay, good. That's about a quarter of the people. So what about the 3/4? You're not having contact, right? So I'm gonna help you and why that's important. Why is it important? Well, I can give you many examples in terms of usability. I'll give you one that I was frustrated about. I didn't work on the project, but my whole country, the Netherlands, that's where I'm from, had to deal with it. Which was we'll skip that. Which was the public transport. We have now a standardized public transport mechanism, which is a chip, and you have to check in and you have to check out when you get out of the bus or out of the train. And it was initially implemented horribly. technically it was all working fine, but they discovered that there are many use cases they didn't consider, like people going out with families having to check in for all their kids, and then a kid below the age of 12 wasn't able to get a pass yet, but they had to check in. So how's that going to work? And there were other use cases like that which completely failed in the first introduction of this system. So the whole public transport was delayed because of the introduction of this system. They simply didn't get to the customer and test it with their customer actually what it meant to have a card and to check in and to check out. A lot of elderly had problems with that as well, and I can go on and give you a lot of examples. I wish they had learned, but they introduced now the mobile check-in, so they have a mobile app. They introduced that about half a year ago. Maybe they got the usability right this time, but when they had more than 300 users, the system crashed. So nobody could use their app to travel again. So, my question to them and also to you is, do you look at all levels of quality? Who knows this pyramid? Nobody. Great, then you're all about to learn something. This pyramid was made by Gojko Acic, a great tester, and he was having a discussion with the client to discover what is important, and what they mean by that, what quality does a software need to have. And they constructed something like the Maslow pyramid. Who of you know the Maslow pyramid? Okay, quite a lot of people. For those who don't know it, it's about human needs. So food is well, everybody needs food, otherwise you die. Then there's something about having a house, so you need to feel secure, and it goes up until I think it's self-esteem. So that means that you want to learn. And what it says, the pyramid, is that you need that lowest level. If you have not fulfilled that lowest level, you can't go to another level. You might think about it, but that's not what you're striving for. And this pyramid has the same thing. So what it says is software initially needs to be functionally okay, so all the business rules need to be checked and all the things that you have thought of logically should do it, right? And it needs to be deployable. Duh, otherwise there would be no software. But that's just a given. Any software needs to have this. If you're already having bugs on this level, then you'll probably have trouble in the performance of that, business-wise that is. So if you look at that, you go a little bit higher and you think, okay, so performance and security and all the ilities, what's often called non-functionals, are important. And if you've checked that, then that's nice. You have a very performant software which complies to all the business rules. Does that make your software successful? Will it make you money or make the world a better place? Not necessarily if it's not usable. If people cannot use it because the interface is too complicated or, well, people with children are walking with their cart and they cannot flash it because they need to check in, then it's still not working, actually. Now, even if people can use it, so imagine you have this wonderful software, everybody can use it, that's pretty simple to use, performs really great even with millions of users, functionally it's all okay. Will it be a success? That depends. If nobody wants to use it, if it's just a useless piece of software where there was no need for, it will still not be a success. And that's the ultimate level of quality, that your software is successful. So does it gain you any money? Questions about that? No? Okay, so I'm assuming that makes sense to you. So the reason I explained the whole pyramid is because it's vital to the presentation. Because most of the testers focus on this level. That's at least where I come from. When I had my my training in testing, they focus on well, all kinds of boundary values and creating actually the software right. but not necessarily building the right thing that people want to use and can use. So today's focus is on this. And you see, usable, useful, user is very important in both of those. So we'll focus on that. And I'll tell you a story of what we did in 2 years' time. But before I do that, I'll show you this quote. Anybody has any idea who said this? Oh, good guess, but no, I'm not that smart. No, this guy brought you something you didn't know you want to have, but you're very useful. It was very useful, and everybody can use it. And it was called the iPhone. So Steve Jobs said this. So what he did is really tapped into understanding his user and then work backwards to technology. Now, I often find that that's not the case. So I would like to tell you how you can do that. So this is where the story started. I became QA lead at TNT Digital, which is the company that ships all the parcels, and I was the lead for TNT.com and their mobile apps. So the whole website in the world, the global website, and their track and trace application. And they had an opportunity, or they had a goal of getting more shares in the more market share in the what's the name again? Small business and enterprises. And what they found is that usability was key there. So that was really their focus. So I already came in a company that was willing to spend quite some time on understanding their user, which was great. So that's why we could do all the 8 things. So here are some teams. You see they're crazy developers, fun people, so we can do something with that. This is how the website looked in 2014. That's just 3 years ago, but it looked like a Web 1.0 website. So I'm gonna click back if it works. Yeah, I forgot one thing. I'm gonna give you an assignment. If you have found where to click to start sending a package, put up your hand. If you think you're right, put up your hand, okay? Yep, one person, more. I need all hands up, otherwise I can't continue. Okay. To make the point, in 2014, when people arrived on the website, I need to send a parcel. Okay, DHL.com. They go to another company. It was horrible. So I'm going to ask you the same question now. If you know where to click to start sending a parcel, put up your hand. Yeah, that's a lot faster, right? That's what it's about, user experience. Pretty clean, poof, start shipping. That's where you go. Or, if you want to know where your shipment is, click on the right box. So how did we get here? Because this looks simple, like, you just simplified the website. But to become simple really takes some effort. We had some other products that had the same transformation. This is the shipment form where you could send your parcel. This is My TNT, which is a portal for small businesses. And there is the mobile app and the website for tracking and tracing your parcel. So that's roughly the products we were working on more than 80 countries. So how did we focus on the customer? I'll put this back. Tip number 1, I promised you 8. This is number 1. Personas. Who of you uses personas? Only 3 people. Okay. So what you do with a persona is yeah, that's better. What you do with a persona is you create a fictional user that could use your product. And you use that in order to go through your website and to understand what kind of different users you have. So we had, I think, 8 personas, and as you can see, there's a wholesale shipper and a receiver, and there were many other personas. And we used them not only in designing our website, so the UXers were really busy in, okay, what could happen? So they were actually thinking about test cases or use cases. Also, the testers took these personas into refinement sessions or into specification sessions and thought, okay, what would Rita think of this if we've implemented this? So people were really, well, open-minded in all kinds of cases that could happen, because you're not thinking about all the users all the time. So when you have them physically present on paper, that helps. And if you add in a little bit more detail, you get more test ideas, like what kind of computer do they use, where are they based, how much shipments do they do on a weekly basis, and what's on there else? Yeah, how do they pay? All these kinds of information gives you lots of test ideas, and you might wonder, okay, so these were fictional personas, so they're not real users. Yeah, you're right about that, but they were constructed from interviews with salespeople and with business people. So we had quite a good idea what the persons looked like, and we refined them later on, and I will tell you how we did that later on as well. We also use them during bug hunts. For people that don't know bug hunts, that's just a test competition where you find as much bugs as you can with the, well, not only testers, but with all the teams. And we used it simply, we just handed out the personas and we said, okay, just impersonate this person and let's see if you can find any bugs. What we found during one of the bug hunts was quite severe. We found that one of the most important links to send a parcel was linking from our Chinese website to the Maltese website in Malta. So that's not a regular test case you would do, I think. But we found it because we had this this mechanism, which was great, actually, in terms of testing, not business-wise. Tip number 2, usability testing. Who of you does usability testing? 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, not that much, not that much. This will cost you a little bit more money if you want to do it professionally. If you want to do it unprofessionally, like I've done a lot of times, just go to your friends or your mother and give them the piece of software you're working on. And then give them that, give them an assignment or a task, and then shut your mouth and watch. This is extremely hard. It sounds very simple, but to shut your mouth and not say anything or give any hints about what the system should do is extremely hard, because they will struggle a lot of times. Just get your notebook, note everything down. So it's free, you can do that. You can start that tomorrow. We did it a little bit more professional, and as you can see, it was not just testers or an external company doing this test. We actually had the developer, product owner, testers in there, so that they could see what the users experienced. They were in a separate room, and the user was somewhere else. You could see the, is there a pointer on here? I guess there is. Yeah, there's the user here, so we could see his or her reaction. And they were actual users. They were people sending parcels through TNT website or their competitors. And there's a tool called eye tracking where they track your eyes, so you see where the user is looking, which is extremely useful information. And if you have a heat map of where they looked afterwards, you know where their attention is drawn to. So you can design for that. If you are a good usability expert, you know what kind of colors to use, you know what gets people distracted, and to attract their attention to the right thing. And you will be amazed what you find in these cases. One thing, for instance, I can give you an example, is there was, you could track and trace multiple parcels in the same field. So you have to put in a number, Then click enter and you can track and trace a parcel. But in that field, we gave a hint, like a number, and then a comma, and then another number. So what we meant saying by that is that you could use multiple numbers and track multiple parcels at the same time. 1 out of the 10 users that day found that. And it was right in their face on those 2 boxes that you just saw. So even though you think it's really clear, for users it might not be. And you need to design for that, because once again, they are the ones that are going to use them. And this was the feedback we got on 1 single day from 10 users. That's a lot of stuff, and a lot of features came out of that. Tip number 3, super review. Quick check. Who of you works in a company that uses some agile methodology? Okay, a lot. Awesome. So you also do sprint reviews, I guess. Yeah, okay. A super review is something we did once a month. And what we basically did is we had all kinds of posters like this, saying, hey, company, come to our floor and we'll show you what awesome products we have. And we also invited the users that we had at the usability test. Not all the time, but a lot of times we did. Which was crazy, because then your department suddenly looks like this. It exploded, many people were walking around. And they're all looking at your product. And not only the finished product, but also new designs. The UXer was simply asking users, okay, so which design do you like better? Or what do you think this design does? So already before there was a single letter of code written, already it was tested, which was great because a lot of designs were completely thrown away and redone. And that's not because they're bad user designers, just because the users expected something else, because they know their domain, they know what to do. If you want to do this, I think you can do this in your company. You don't need to ask permission, just invite more people in. Open up your reviews. But if you do, you might want to prepare a couple of things. For instance, have a lot of devices ready. You never know who comes, you never know what questions they ask. Prepare your test data, prepare your apps. Have some scenarios already prepared so that they can do tasks, and do a usability test on the fly. Just like I said, give them a task and ask them to think aloud. And what I mean by that is that they just vocalize what they see, what they feel, and then simply note that down without giving them any hints. This gives you a lot of information on how they perceive the product. Tip number 4. Don't worry if you can't remember them. At the end of the presentation, they will come again. Customer support. Of course, the customer support has the most contact with the customers, because customers call, hey, where's my parcel? You send me a reference number, I cannot track and trace it because the number is not working. So what did we do? Well, not each team member, but most of the team members one day simply went to customer support. Here you see UXer wearing a headset, just listening in on the calls that people get, that the customer support got. That was great. It was a very fun day, and it fundamentally changed the way we looked at our software. And why is that? Because, you know, we are in IT. Most of us are techies, or at least we understand technology. So we are quite analytical about stuff. We understand models. We understand systems. Our user mostly doesn't. You have to realize that the majority of the people that use your software have no clue what's going on the back end, or anything behind what they see. So they call. And what we did is we noted patterns, and from that patterns we knew what troubled customers the most, so that filled our backlog. Now you might argue that this is not about testing, but to me it is, because the earlier you have your feedback, the less it will cost you. the less effort you have to put in to make it right. Make sense? Tip number 5, user-based analytic testing. It's a mouthful, but what I mean by that is that you simply know what kind of users you have and what kind of browsers they use, and collect as much as you can from your user. So this is a very simple one. You can go to this website, it's completely free. You can do it country-based even, and you see here what kind of browsers are used in your country over a span of time or just now, which can give you an idea of what to focus on. So if you know this, well, you're probably going to test Chrome first. That's the most important browser because it's mostly used. Now this is a very simple one, so if you can, try to refine this analytic. And we did this by using Google Analytics. These were the numbers. Oh, there are no numbers. I took them away, but this is the order of browsers that were used by TNT.com, so that's the open website. And these are the numbers from track and trace. So people also got to track and trace not via TNT.com, but via their email or via Googling. So there's a little bit of a difference there, not that much, you might think. But if you look a little bit closer, well, what you might think now is that Chrome, let's pick Chrome first, and Internet Explorer, hard browser to test, I don't want to test it, right? That's really shitty to test. But if you look a little bit closer, what you actually see is that Internet Explorer 11 was used the most. So we have to start testing there because most of our users are on our website using that browser. So if you have insight in this, these are actual user statistics from TNT.com using Google Analytics. You can make a plan. You can make a plan on what to test first. What is the most important thing? Now we got even further. We used a tool called Relic, and you can do quite some cool real user monitoring in there. You can track a lot of stuff, like how fast are they perceiving it, they are the user, what kind of browsers do they have, where are they based, where did they stop, where did they have a lot of mouse movement. So all these kinds of information give you an idea of how they experience your website. What you see here is a map of our user base. So you could see that in the UK, Western Europe, and Australia, we had the most users. But also China had quite some users. So you expect that in the most, or you hope that in the most used countries, the performance is also the best, right? Because how else are they going to have a good experience and finish their actual package? That brings us money. Well, this is the same map, but the performance. Green being great performance, red meaning it's awful. They probably went away and didn't finish it. And you see China there again. So what does this tell us? How can it be that one website is so different in multiple countries? Any ideas? Language. Might be. Yeah, never considered that one. Yeah. Any other ideas? Load. What do you mean by load? A load of customers. Yeah, but as you can see, we also have a load of customers in Western Europe, and there the performance is pretty cool. Yeah. What this is? Oh yeah. Competition. Well, this is the performance, the web. Oh, that's good that you say that. By performance, I mean web performance. So how fast is the website? So this is nothing to do with our competitors. So what I'm simply saying here is that our website is slow in China, and we have a lot of users there, so we have a problem. Now, what this actually says is internet in China is not as good as in other countries. So that might seem like a statistic where you think, wow, what can we do about that? That's China's problem. But it's our customers. They bring us money, right? So what we did is we implemented a more lightweight website, or some elements were more lightweight in China so that it loaded faster. Again, that brought us more money, and the reason we knew that is because we knew our customer. Yeah, I already told you about Google Analytics. It's not only user base or what they use. We also checked what kind of features they used, and our backlog was created from that, actually, or at least not created, but changed. I'll give you an example of one of the features that probably would not have been implemented if we didn't have any analytics on our user. What you see here is the track and trace page, and you can fill in a number. Now, if you fill in this number, 3S12 blah blah, that is not a valid TNT track and trace number. It is a number from PostNL. Now, the thing is, in the Netherlands, that PostNL was acquired by TNT, and then a couple of years later, it was split again. Guess what happens? Users didn't get the business memo that they were split, so still a lot of users think, oh yeah, I sent a parcel, or I'm receiving a parcel. Probably it's TNT, even though it says PostNL. They were one company, right? They didn't catch the memo. So what we found out is that this was, I think, on a daily basis, more than 40,000 users were entering that number in our field, which is not nice for the customer because you can show them an error message saying, this is not a TNT number, which doesn't help the customer. And it also wasn't good for our mainframe because there were a lot of calls going to the mainframe, and mainframe calls are pretty expensive. So we wanted to solve this. So what we did is we came up with an alternative error message saying, hey, this is a PostNL shipment because it's easy to spot. We know the pattern. Please go to our competitor. There, we can help you. So we've helped the customer with this, with a very simple error message. And in the end, I don't have that number, but believe me, it's true. The number got lower. People thought, oh, okay, next time I need to go to that website. So that's great. We helped the customer and ourselves. And we had all dashboards on what kind of features they used. And you can imagine that if somebody orders a package, that there's a flow to that. You log in, you fill in your shipment details, you have to pay, and then you send your parcel. Some of those features you see here. And if you start from 6.5 minutes, okay. If you start from login and only 10,000 people select actually an application, is there something wrong? Why did they log in if they're not selecting anything to ship? Was it hard, or did they just want to do something else? And why are there quite some login errors? Was their password too hard, or what happened? So this analytics doesn't really show you, it doesn't give you an answer. It gives you more questions, but they are the right questions to pursue and to find out what happens here with the user. And this was the ultimate business dashboard that the management was interested about track and trace, because they wanted to have more conversion, which means more bookings started. This is a comparison, by the way, of just 1 week, so it went down a little bit. But what this says is that about 1% of people that uses track and trace immediately from that application send a new send a new parcel. And what you can see here is how much of the visits results in a search, and how much of those searches ended up in a result. A result could also be a false result, so that's why we have successful results. So from all the visits, we have 78% that were succeeded. Now that's a number you want to have higher, right? And also, the customer calls it's pretty expensive if people call and saying, hey, this reference number is not working, so where's my parcel? You need to do a lot of manual labor and finding that out. So they want to improve the search website. So we also kept numbers on how much calls are getting down. And that was all well, made available by implementing Google Analytics. Also the customer calls, because it was a click to call somebody, to get to the phone number. Tip number 6, feedback tooling. Simply a survey, which is just a button on there, which sometimes popped up and sometimes it didn't. So sometimes you want to bother a customer asking, hey, could you give us some feedback? And later on we used another other tool, and it tracked how long people were on the website. And if there were a long time on the website but they were idle, it popped up asking, hey, can I help you? So we interacted with our customer and got feedback from them on what they searched. And this is one of the comments that we got. Yeah, it turned out there was a bug on this particular iPhone, because we could see it's an iPhone that somebody is using here. And we knew this by using this this analytics and this feedback from this customer. So that's pretty neat. Tip number 7, A/B testing. Who doesn't know what A/B testing is? I want to see more hands. All of you, all the rest knows what A/B testing is? Okay, half and half. What you do is you compare one design with another one for the same feature. So here you see an example for track and trace, how to get there. If you're using the input fields immediately and a little bit lower on the website, or if there's a button on top. And what you simply do is you create both of the features, but you serve half of them using your load balancer or some other method, half of your user base to one of the variations and the other one to the original one that you implemented. And you see what happens. Do people click more on variant A or on variant B? And that gives us insight on what is a good design. In this particular case, there was not really a difference, but there were other tests where there was a significant difference, and so we implemented the other one later on. Implemented on all the for all the users, that I mean. Yeah, the last tip, be the user, often said by eat your own dog food, use your own product. Wow, what have we learned? And imagine doing that on TNT.com is pretty fun, because what did we do? We sent a parcel across the world. So we had a GPS tracker in our parcel, which was illegal by blah blah. So we had to do it in a sneaky other way, which made it legal. And we simply tracked every step in the process. So applying for it on our own tools, the driver that comes collects the parcel, the paperwork that we get, the tracking and tracing multiple times, tracking it through the throughout the world where it would go, and then also we prepped somebody at the other side of the world, asking what was your experience when the driver comes in, and also take that paperwork. So we got the whole process, the actual process that the user goes through, or two users in this sense, the sender and the receiver. And we got to know that our printing document was really shit. It was confusing a lot of people, and you can change your whole website, but if your printed version that has to go on the parcel is confusing already, you're giving the drivers a lot of trouble and a delay for your customers. So we had to change something else and not our digital stuff. And that was really insightful too. So there you have it. So you might ask, when did we do this? Oh, it's time? Okay. Well, we did it all the time. We have 5 minutes left for Q&A, so I'll just carry on 1 more minute. We did it all the time. We did it before we designed stuff, as you could see from the super review. We did it after we implemented stuff, doing usability testing. We did it while we were testing, using the personas. So you do this all the time with your customer in your head. So what have we learned? Okay, shorten your feedback as far as you can in the process, as early as you can in the process. So if you already have a business idea, try to find that one and measure it. Use the analytics for that. Oh, something going wrong with the animation. Focus continuously on the customer using that 8 things. And those 8 things were personas, go to the customer support, do super reviews, do A/B testing, use usability testing, use analytics a lot, use a feedback tool, and last, be the user yourself. It helps you in determining the risk, as you could see from the browser statistics. And always keep experimenting and have fun understanding your customer. That's it.